Hi guys. So I already recorded this episode, like I said in the recording, on I think it's score release evening, and I had intended to release it the next day, but I had a lot going on, so I didn't know if it would be a good idea for me to put that type of content out there, because it's kind of anti what my idea or goal for what I'm doing on YouTube in the first place with this is. But I think this might help people. You know, when you have people in the 170s and people with a 180, precisely, because those are two different categories, honestly. Even if people in the 170s saw a 180 in their PTs and they didn't pump that out on test day, yeah, those are two different types of people, I'm just gonna say. Because, like, you solid, when you get a 180, you know, like, you're on top of the world. It's only now where I'm seeing more people with the 180s, but yeah, or 180 score. So I kind of want to synopsis or make it brief, in case you don't listen to the full thing, because I was in a way kind of rambling and being very, very real. And I want people to know that you can stop earlier than the 170s. You really can. And there's no reason to put all of this headache and pressure on yourself if it's stressing you the F out, you know? And then also the variables of life, which I mentioned later on in this old recording now. And I have to talk about what happened to me, and how I got to where I am at some point. And I think this is one of the things that we have to learn to monitor, and that is being human, and then going into the societal bracket of sitting down for 3-hour tests, and you're really taking the challenge to release everything that's happened to you in the last 24 hours or even 4 weeks or even your whole life for this 3-hour exam, and really focus. And that's not to say that that's not a societal reasonable expectation, because there's a lot of tests. And, you know, you have the MCAT, especially, it's supposed to be much harder, depending on who you speak to, than the LSAT is. But I think we have to be good to ourselves. We have to be kind to ourselves. I mean, I meant to mention this in the recording, and I forgot, and I'm glad that I'm going to add this on, is I had heard that somebody was taking the bar, or people were taking the bar, and I think somebody had a heart attack and they had to keep going. And I did hear about the whole strategies or the structure within how they format administering the bar. So that's their justification of why somebody would have a heart attack and people would just have to continue their tests. And I think that's honestly inhumane, to treat people as robots. I mean, people don't need help ignoring if somebody is having a heart attack. I'm just gonna say that some people, they just don't give a damn about anybody else but themselves and how things impact themselves. But I think if people's natural inclination is to really make sure that somebody's good, that's a good thing that you'd want in a lawyer. But that's how the bar is set up, that people have to stay locked in. It's a longer test than the LSAT. And I guess I should add that in. All of this extra time you're gonna put into the LSAT, why not just do your best practice, and whatever high score you've gotten, that's how you measure yourself to some degree. Don't attach yourself to the numbers. But if you go on test day and you see something much, much lower, don't hold on to that number and don't hold on to letting it define you. I know some people, they submit their applications before they see their scores, so the score just gets added after the fact. And that might be a good idea, to hold off on writing your score addendum until after you see your score in the first place, or make sure you solidly have decided to stop testing. But it's kind of weird when you want to, I don't know, get in by November and you say, okay, take a look at my August score. I've already submitted my application because I could. And then you go and take that test. Maybe you've already taken it before. And then you see a tick and it's like, oh my goodness, well, I already put an addendum with the amount of takes I had already. So it's kind of hard to go back and change that after the fact because all of the documents are in. But yeah, there is the cancel button, especially if you have a fee waiver. That would be an awesome thing to take advantage of. And you see a ridiculous result, meaning the 1 point lower or points lower than your last take if you took it multiple times. I'd say to people who can't afford or can't reasonably afford to cancel and they, for whatever reason, didn't get a fee waiver, if you see like a 140 something, I'd go ahead and keep it, especially if it's on the higher end, mid to higher end, because then you'll see it go up. And honestly, if you can't afford to cancel it, you know, just at least for that one, I'd be more receptive to people keeping that on their score, so it'll be like a nice going up instead of like leaving some weirdness like, oh, I got a 126 and then I got a 137 and then I got a 140. Well, that's a nice going up thing. It is a little bit slow, but let's just say you got a 150 and then all of a sudden you tank down to 127. I would be like, oh my gosh, I don't want that there. And yeah, that didn't happen to me, but that's something to consider. Yeah, is this gonna be it before I add in the rest of the episode? I didn't really talk too much to higher scores, but yeah, if you did well, decide if you want to go through the pressure, unless you love the idea of all the variables that can happen on test day or even leading to. But if you can get your refund, yeah, I'd take it and walk. Like I said, these whole scholarship things might not be guaranteed. You gotta talk to the schools, see their website, see what rules come with their scholarships, or even how much they give. I think it's LSD law that shows about an average of how many people are getting like full, what percentages, and what GPAs, because you know some people are splitters in either direction. So yeah, go ahead and utilize these resources. Also, law school transparency. It's within Law Hub. They used to have it like a different format, or maybe I had it on dark mode. Maybe that was going on, but I didn't even have to be signed in, but the site had looked different and now it looks a little bit different from what I used to see. But maybe I'm doing something wrong. But yeah, go ahead and check out Law School Transparency. Don't be shy. Go ahead and speak up and advocate for yourself. I don't know, unless you're gonna be like a hermit lawyer and not talk to anybody, but why would you go through all this? Go ahead and start reaching out. Don't be a nagger, but wait, I think I'm gonna cut that out. That did not sound right. I was trying to say not to nag the people at the office so that they'll be like, oh my gosh, this person is always calling us or always sending us emails. That was horrible. Okay, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna go ahead and add in the rest. But, yeah, I hope it helps. listeners. This is Unlock the LSAT, and this is your host, the Key again. So I actually had something already pre-recorded, like I recorded a few episodes on one day, and score release day. I'm recording this on August 27, 2025, but I plan to release this on August 28th, 2025. So today, at this time, was score release day, and I decided, let me go ahead and record something, and then I'll release it tomorrow. So let's talk about how to navigate this part of the journey. And then I think a little bit of this kind of goes back over into deciding when to just completely throw in the towel and recognize yourself for your abilities and what you were able to do. Let me just go ahead and get into it. So first of all, let's just say, and I'm honestly going to say this is not for people who've gotten in the 170s or in the 180s. But maybe you'll find something in here if you're maybe a lower score 170 and you're thinking about continuing forward to get a 180. All right, so let's just start from the top. So we did have, like I've been talking about in the few episodes recently, this China cheating scandal, and then people also talking about accommodations also being an unfair advantage where people are benefiting that wouldn't be able to succeed the way that they have had under time conditions. Once again, not condoning that I support this mindset, but it does provide context as I go into when you see your score. So I'm going to go ahead and start by saying that if you at least get into the 140s, that is a worthy goal. That's a honorable, not a worthy goal. I mean, it is admirable because sometimes some people don't even get out of the 130s. So for you to go in there and get a 140, I'd say a good portion of the time that means that you can at least get into the 150s, and the 150s is about the average, mid 150s precisely. So beyond that aspect, I wanted to talk about the instances where your score remains the same, or it goes up by a single point, or it goes down by a single point. And then I'll branch over into the different aspects beyond this. So when you see that you've gotten the same exact score, and let's say that you've had a good amount of time to prepare, I might just say, for a person that's gotten into the 150s, that you can go ahead and throw in the towel. Honestly, if you wanted something better, but on that test day, things did not go the way you intended. I mean, you can go on Reddit, like I just talked about Reddit, and not going on there. But I think score release day, it could be a positive and a negative because some people got their goal score. So typically, sometimes around test day, people talk about, so-and-so broke up with me, and now I'm taking the LSAT in 2 weeks, and this is ridiculous. How could this happen? Or they get sick, or a family member gets sick, and sometimes it's very gory, precisely. Like they actually just completely don't have someone in their life anymore. Like literally, they're just gone from illness or natural causes. So these are things that highlight the realness, the reality of living. And we need to we need to keep in mind the human elements of this experience, and admire yourself. I should have started this way. Admire yourself for what you were able to do. And that goes for someone even if you didn't get beyond the 120s to some degree. If you had the mindset like, I'm going to try to push through and do my very best, and it didn't work out numerically, nobody can tell you that you did not try your very best, because people are just seeing numbers, and there's a lot more to the story beyond that. And not everyone who has a 180 or is in the 170s is going to be a good lawyer or is going to be successful in law school. So you might be that head one, but you're not numerically showing this at that time, but that doesn't really devalue who you are, and it doesn't downgrade this goal that you have, or it doesn't diminish, or it doesn't negate this goal that you have. It's not about the LSAT score. It's not. It's absolutely not. I think directly from experience, it's good to develop the habit of really making sure that you're getting out of a wing it mentality. That's the highlight of it all. You don't want to be in the wing it mentality where you just barely even try and you keep going into different spaces with this energy, God forbid, law school. So I feel like when you could take the LSAT in that direction, you take the test after putting in solid studying and dedication. And if you've been at it for a good while, and like I said, a lot of people, it's going to be different amounts of time for different reasons. If you've come a good way, and especially when your life is getting to a point where it's time for you to really make sure that life is going where you want it to go, I'd say that you have to go ahead and know when to fold and throw in the towel. It's very discouraging when you don't get what you were aiming for, but that does not diminish who you are as a person, and it's not a defining point of your character, your value. I mean, if you have a 180 or if you're in the 170s and you treat people like SHIT, then I don't think I would want you as a lawyer, although there's people like that as lawyers. But honestly, just think about yourself beyond that score. So yeah, that's the first part of what I'll say when it comes to squirrely stay. And the next part of it is determining what would be a motivating factor, or what would be a reason to go ahead and retake it. I definitely recognize why it's important to continuously strive to be at the top. But if it's really causing you heartache and you've experienced some things right around your test day especially, you would do best to at least take a break. And that could be very disappointing, especially if you've been working very hard, but it's just life. And if you're gonna be obsessing over some number to your health's detriment, I think it's a good idea to just let this part of the process go, especially if you're in a solid 150 range. Just go ahead and and throw in the towel. And this is not to discourage anyone from continuing forward, especially if they feel and they know that they can do it, because I definitely understand that everybody is definitely, to some degree, capable of getting a very, very high score, but our lives are different, our personalities are different, and there's certain reasons why you might not be able to see it actually manifest on test day. And also, the variables of the actual day have a lot of uncertainties. For example, you might have a proctor. I recently found out it's precisely a proctor change when you're like really in your test, and then all of a sudden you hear this interruption, static, or people talking suddenly. And then you could also have a proctor taking a long time to let you restart your tests while you have returned from your break. And that could be mentally taxing as well. But what can you do? What can you do? These are things that just happen. And then with the retakes from LSAT, you might be limited to one particular day that doesn't work for you. Wow. It's just life. It's really just life. And I don't write out what I'm going to say in advance because I like it to flow freestyle. But test day is a big difference. And I think no matter how many different PTs you do, even if you know your stuff and stuff happens out of your control before the test and after the test, the law schools don't see this. They don't. You know what happened. You know what you're capable of. And if you've done decent enough and you did the best you could with the circumstances presented to you, that's a win in itself. And you should not make yourself feel less than because you didn't see what you were looking for. All right. So I think that even ties over or goes over to the people that they might be in the high 170s in their PTs and then test day, they get something different. Think about it to yourself. Do you really want to go through the headache of going through that again? And I know scholarships are a big issue for why people want those higher scores. But you got to look at the different schools and see if it's even a guarantee, because sometimes it's not even a guarantee that they'll pay for your full tuition. And then sometimes people still have to take out loans as far as housing and other things go as well. And also there are merit scholarships too. So in the case of people with higher GPAs, then they qualify to be considered as splitters, who have somewhat more of a advantage than other people who have maybe a more average LSAT score and an average median LSAT score as well. So yeah, I think that's going to be about it. I'm really taking all these pauses because it's just like life, life will life. Life will life. Oh my goodness. Life will life. Um, so if you decide to just bow out and the lower score than the 170s or 180, it's okay. You're not less than a person if that happens. You're not less than a person if you're not in a T14 or lower. Well, by lower, I mean like the T1s to T14. It's okay. Give yourself a hug, knowing what you went through leading up to and on that day, and you can pick yourself back up and get ready to strive again, or you could just decide, this is good. I did my best. I know more than the score shows, but if it's not showing that I've improved, especially when you see her drop a point lower than your last one, like, I think that one especially does something to your mental health, because like you would almost feel like somebody deliberately wanted to show you like you think you're good but you're not good, so let me just humble you, let me drop your score a little bit lower. You didn't even hit the precise last score that you got, you dropped the point lower. This is not the regular recording that I wanted to do. But yeah, this is real. This is real. I think it's important to be real. I think it's important to be truly honest, not fake honest. And yeah, just be proud of yourself. Sitting down for a about 3 hour exam is no joke. Even people with accommodations, like, it sounds good, but that's still a good amount of time to just be sitting in general. And honestly, I'd be trying to sit for as little as possible with this test in general when it comes to the actual test day, but that's not how it goes. But yeah, so if anyone finds this soon, good job on going ahead and taking that test. Don't beat yourself up for the score that might have disappointed you, but you can pat yourself on the back if you even saw maybe small bits of progress. Just decide, is it worth my time to continue moving forward? Like, are people actually going to value you more if you have a 170 plus? Yes, don't let the numbers define you. All right, so that's it for this. I don't even know if I'm gonna post this, but keep on striving going forward. And for people who decided that this part of their journey has come to an end, congratulations. That is wonderful. I wish you the best in law school. I wish you the best in your lawyer career. And just remember to continue to put your mental health, your physical health, your well-being at your forefront. And let go of any belief patterns that do not serve you, especially when it comes to letting numbers define who you are as a person and your capabilities. Have a great day, everyone.